Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Huddle Up with Howard. Howard Richards is the name. I'm Mike Claiborne alongside, and we have a special guest this afternoon. And Howard, you just keep bringing these great guests to this podcast, man, and we got another great one today.
Our guest today, joining Huddle with Howard, is a young man who is very special to me, of course. Not only is he a Hall of Famer from the University of Missouri Athletics, he was the 1988 AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year with the New York Jets. He happens to be my first cousin, all-around wonderful guy, love him to death, Erik Charles McMillan. Erik, welcome to Huddle with Howard, Mike Claiborne.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And, that's a great introduction, man. I appreciate all that. But of all the things that you just mentioned, I just got to take a time out and pause for the cause. The one thing that you mentioned I'm most proud about is to share another honor with you besides being your first cousin, to be inducted into you just recently got inducted into the Missouri Hall of Fame about 3 weeks ago. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know.
Howard's a little technically challenged with some of this equipment that we have. So
Okay.
I'm back, boys. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. It's just it must be the storms we're having today. I apologize.
So you were saying, Erik?
So I was just basically saying that, being your first cousin is one honor that I so much cherish. But the other honor is that you recently got inducted to the University of Missouri Football Hall of Fame a few weeks ago. And to have family, you and I, in the Missouri Football Hall of Fame that's a distinguished honor that I'm very, very, very happy to share with you. And
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, if it wasn't for you, you recruited me to Missouri. If it wasn't for you, I may not have even been a part of the Missouri history or even been an attendee or a student athlete at the university. So I am most, grateful to you.
Well, few people know that, I'm batting 1,000 when it comes to recruits. I've only sent one and recommended one person. You do, and I think I did okay. So
yeah, I think you did all right, bro. I think you did all right.
I think I don't know. I have to check with this with Tom Orff. He's a Mizzou athletics historian, but we may be the only family connection in the Hall of Fame there, which I think would be very unique. Would be pretty cool if that is the case. But
you know what, Howard? I was thinking that same thing. I think you guys might have that one all to yourself.
Yeah, there are only, I think, less than 300 inductees, which that Hall of Fame has only been in existence since 1990. But that would be a unique distinction, and of course, one that I'm happy to share with you. You led the way, of course, and I was so happy that you're in it. But dude, you had an outstanding career. It was interesting because you grew up in St. Louis. Moved away with your mom, my aunt, Shirley McMillan, who was married to, of course, the great Ernie McMillan, who played for the old Big Red, the St. Louis Football Cardinals. You went to JFK High School.
John F. Kennedy in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yeah, and I remember kind of how this went down. We were in town. Cowboys were in town to play the Redskins. Some guy approached me that said he was doing some recruiting for Mizzou. I said, well, who are you looking at here in the D.C. area? And he gave me a couple of names. I said, well, there's one name missing. And I said, you need to go check out this kid. He happens to be my cousin, Erik McMillan. Here's where he is. Go take a look. And at the time, you had only, was it one offer to play college football?
I had one offer. And I had taken one trip, and that was to Wichita State.
Oh, boy. And
when I said Wichita State, Howard said, Wichita State? Oh, no. Hang tight. I'm going to make a phone call, and I'm going to get back with you tomorrow. So, yeah. You want to go to a school that's going to be there long after you come out of college.
And guess what? Wichita State, they soon after stopped football. Only half the bowl.
You were right. You were right. I'm so, man, I can't tell you how grateful I am to you.
I could just see you out on the prairie out in Wichita trying to figure out what next.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, it sounds like my recruiting trip to K-State.
Oh my goodness.
I woke up the next day when I got there. I arrived under the cloak of darkness.
Oh,
the first clue was that I was in a dorm room, not a hotel, that was painted with black, ultraviolet, colors. It was really strange.
Wow.
Woke up the next morning, looked out the window, and I saw cattle. I said, "Bro, get me out of here! I can't do this."
That's the first time you saw a steak that was on 4 hoofs at that point.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. This is not for me.
Wow.
So I imagine your experience in Wichita it may have been similar, maybe a little bit better.
You know what? It's funny as we talk about those recruiting moments. We've all had one where when you got to that place, you realize this wasn't going to be you. I know I went up to Iowa, and as soon as I got there, I called home. First piece you call your parents. Mama, I'm ready to come home. She said, "Well, you just got there." I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm ready to go." Because you know right off the bat that it's not going to work, and you can't. And it's always Howard, you said something. It's either under the cloak of darkness or the snowiest day of the year. And you just realize, this isn't gonna work. I'm sorry. I appreciate the trip. I had another state I've checked off that I've been to. Probably never coming back.
You could never be more correct. My Minnesota trip was like that. I went up on a Friday. It's 55 degrees. Within 24 hours, there was 12 inches of snow. Dropped below like 20 degrees.
Wow.
All I had on was a little jacket, a little sports coat. I'm trying to be cool and clean. I'm like, out of here. I will not be coming here. Eric, tell us about your time on campus at Mizzou. What was that like, those 4 years for you?
Well, it started, let's see, I graduated from high school on June 9th, and on June 10th, I reported to campus. So I didn't have 24 hours to even celebrate graduating high school. But I actually came to campus, and it was very hot. It was about 100 degrees plus. And, the university didn't have much grass growing around the campus. It's mostly concrete. So, the heat coming off that concrete played a major part in, the heat I was feeling, because I didn't have a car. I was walking. I had to walk clear across campus. I had to walk from the dorm to the dining hall to the stadium to the weight room. And I was like, man, what have I gotten myself into? Then when we get into equipment, our helmets are black, which is calling the sunbeam, right down to your head, which makes you perspire a lot more. But I had a good mentor in Vicky Huddle, and Vicky Huddle was my academic advisor, and she kind of took me under her wing as like her son, so to speak. And she made me feel at home and made me feel comfortable in terms of, teaching me how to study, in a big classroom of, 500 students, a big auditorium of 500 students. I'm sitting in there and I'm looking around and I'm like, wow, this is really nice, man. But you got to listen, you got to take the notes. After class, we would compare notes because she would be there with me. She'd take notes, I'd take notes. We compare notes and see, do I have the information that I need? Is this the right stuff? Was I paying attention? Blah, blah, blah. Then I get to the weight room, that's the academic side. Then I get to the athletic side and I get in the weight room and I'm 6'1", 180 pounds, supposed to be a defensive end. And I got an All-American in front of me, Bobby Bell Jr., and Taft Sells on the other side, another All-American. But now it's time to hit the weights. And I was weak. I was tall and skinny, to say the least. And I had to start off. Russ Ball was the strength coach, who's now the general manager of the Green Bay Packers. He said, Eric, bench press is 135. I couldn't do it, man. Couldn't do it. So I literally, when it came to lifting weights, I had to start off with the bar, which was 45 pounds. And I worked my way up into, a level of respectable weightlifting as well as, technique. Any muscle that I have today was truly built from the ground up. I mean, I came in there, I was tall and skinny. So I learned a lot about myself, in terms of academics, in terms of being an athlete. Um, I wasn't strong enough to jack up those tight ends, on the point of impact. They would blow me down the field, probably 50 yards down the field, man. And it was embarrassing, and I had no strength to overcome the obstacle. So Bobby Bell Jr. would pull me to the side after practice for about 15 minutes, and he said he had the same problem when he was a freshman. So he spent 15 minutes with me a day after practice teaching me the technique. And once I started getting a little stronger, it took about a good month, 3 weeks in. When I started getting a little stronger and I started mastering that technique, there wasn't a tight end out there that could move me 5 yards. I was jacking them up. I learned the technique of taking on those 300-pound guards, pulling down the line. I'd get as low as I could. I flip them over my shoulder. I mean, so I'm really grateful to Bobby Bell and the football athletic experience to teach me how to survive. Because I redshirted. I ain't had no strength. I wasn't able to play, so I redshirted. The following spring, I was able to get on the field, and they would bring me in on third down. Coach Hydoff would bring me in on third down, and I was really a nickelback before they were even calling people nickelbacks. And I would come in and cover tight ends. So, Coach Hydoff said, Eric, there's not a tight end in the country that can run away from you. You're gonna come in, cover the tight end, cover the back out the backfield, and we're gonna run our defense. I was like, bet. I was fast now. I had the guy giving speed, but didn't know how to use it. Okay, I saw that. All right. So I had to learn how to play football. Basically, that's what my time was like. Learning how to play football, learning how to survive. I lived in a dorm. I had to manage my own time. Had to manage when I'm going to eat, what time I'm going to get up, what time I'm going to bed. All that. So I learned a lot about Erik McMillan, in the comfortable environment of the University of Missouri, and that aided in my development, so I can live and survive today.
You mentioned two guys that were my teammates, both Bobby Bell Jr., whose dad was a Hall of Famer with the Kansas City Chiefs, and of course Taft Sales, whose son Zion just graduated from Mizzou, and he was a walk-on on the team, tremendous player also. And those guys, I will tell you that we prepared Bobby and Taft for their success. So we just continue to pass it down. So I'm grateful that they shared all the things that they learned with you, because I think it showed. You mentioned your fantastic speed, but this whole 6'1" thing. Where is that from? You are not 6'1".
Coming out of high school, I was 6'1".
Yeah, but you grew. I mean, you had a growth spurt, man. You're probably one of the biggest defensive backs in the league during your time.
I picked up a little bit of weight, thank goodness. Going into my senior year, my weight started to elevate, because Mizzou recruited me as a defensive end. They thought I would get big like my dad, the big, Ernie McMillan, 6'6", 275. That wasn't happening, man. I was eating those steaks. I was drinking those protein drinks, and all that did was keep me in the bathroom. And, it was going right through me, and, I was 180 all the way up until my senior year, and I started to get close to 190, then 195, around draft time. And but my speed was incredible. I really relied on, I was proud of, the fact that I can run as fast as I want to or run faster than my opponent. And then I knew that I had another gear to kick into if I wanted it. And I can bypass them, I can evade blockers, or I can catch anybody I wanted to catch. It was a beautiful thing, man. I still wish I had that.
Hey, let's take our first break. We're visiting with Erik McMillan, former Mizzou great and played in the NFL for a long time. We'll talk to him about that when we come back.
Every day, Ameren, Illinois works to deliver reliable energy throughout the state to on-the-go families, in-the-know grandparents, and busy students. But did you know we also have ways to manage your energy? Paperless billing, outage notifications, pick a due date, auto pay, and so much more. So no matter who you are or how you use your energy, there's an option that's right for you. Learn more at AmernIllinois.com/options.
Welcome back. We're huddling up with Howard Richards. Erik McMillan is our guest. And Erik, you talked about your run at Mizzou. Give me some of your best moments there when you were playing.
Best moments at Mizzou. I say when I was playing, I would say that getting my first touchdown was a special moment. We were playing. It was my senior year. We were playing against the Baylor Bears, and they tried to throw a pass to the hook, so to speak, and they tried to throw it over my head and drop it in the little area that was available behind me. And I jumped up. They didn't know I could jump, and I jumped up and tipped it to myself, caught it, and I said, "Oh, I got something here." I said, "Let's hidey ho, let's go." So I started running. It was about 37 yards, and I was able to make it to the end zone without getting touched. And I kind of lost my breath for about the next 20 minutes. I mean, I was so hyper about that. But that was a good moment. Another good moment was I got an interception against Iowa State, which was about the same amount of yardage. It was maybe a little bit longer, but it was going down the left side, and that was a special moment. And I guess the biggest moment overall to encompass the whole college career there was playing against the best talent in the country. To see Oklahoma on the field and to play against Oklahoma and play against, Nebraska and Oklahoma. Whoever won the Big Eight won the national championship. That's how it was when I played, and it was Nebraska and Oklahoma. So when OU came to town and when we went there, they had, everybody on that squad was All-American and this and that. And, I saw Marcus Dupree play. I was redshirted that year when Marcus Dupree.
Thank goodness you were redshirted.
Yeah. He ran into
Terry Matichak.
No. He ran into Tracy Mack and Jay Wilson, and they taught him a lesson about football. They made him in the B gap real nice.
Let me ask you, they did a documentary on him, and I watched him play when he was alive and well. He's still alive. How good of a player was he? And I know they always talk about the guy who never was, but you had a chance to see him. How good was he?
He was very, very good. He was extremely good. He was extremely good against people that didn't have the same athletic ability as he did, or the same amount of heart that he had. Because he was a tough, punishing runner who had the ability to elude defenders, when they got close. He had a pretty good stiff arm as well. But I don't know why he didn't do well when he got to the pros. I'm not exactly sure, but in college football, I mean, he was pretty dominant. He was very dominant.
Well, the one thing I tip my cap to him, because he went to the USFL, that didn't work because the league was crappy, and then he blew out his knee and came back and made the Rams. He played for the Rams one year and had a pretty decent season. I think he got a couple years in with them. So for a guy that bounced around, had the ACL, and was able to come back and still play, it really said a lot about his dedication and commitment, because most guys, when they blow it out like he did, and apparently it was really severe, they just go home and do something else. But he stuck with it and came back and ended up finishing his career in the NFL.
Yeah, well, I mean, he definitely had the stick-to-itiveness and the motivation and the discipline to, correct mistakes and, rehab his body. And he knew how important taking care of the body was, because he was a running back, and, they get contact, almost every play.
So moving on from the college ranks, you were drafted by the Jets. Interestingly enough, you were drafted in 88. I was in Jets camp in 87. And
missed you by a year.
Yeah. In fact, that was a strange experience for me. Came down to the final cut, and two guys competing for one offensive line position. In addition to me, was Randy Clark, former St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah. And, we were told that they were going to keep eight offensive linemen. As it turns out, they cut us both.
Oh, wow.
and only ended up with 6 offensive linemen. They were hoping that Reggie McElroy would come back, but he was on the PUP list. So they went into the season with 6 offensive linemen, and I know Reggie. It was weeks before he came back, and they struggled, missed the playoffs as a result. Sometimes general managers don't make the right decisions. I'm not saying I would have been the guy that stuck around, but it would have been cool if we'd been able to finally play together.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. But then you arrive and you get a chance to play for Joe Walton, who recently passed away, and of course the great Bud Carson, the defense for the Jets, who coordinated those great steel curtain defenses at the Pittsburgh Steelers. What was that like?
Bud Carson, man. Bud was about yay high, man, but Bud carried a big stick. And I'm here to tell you, man, Bud probably forgot more football than anybody will ever know. Because every series of a defense, we come to the sideline and he's asking questions. What happened? What'd you do on this play? What did the guy in front of you do? Okay, well, let's go back to what we did. Matter of fact, let's go back to what we did. Go back to what we did against Dallas. I'm like, what? I'm like, Bud, I wasn't here. He's like, you better figure it out or you're going to be on the next flight out. I'm like, that's not even right, man. That's not even fair. Because the guys that I was playing with, had been playing together for 10 years or more. I'm like, dude, I just came out of college. He pulled me to the side. He put his arm around me. Hey, man, look, Eric, just get in the middle. Get in the middle. Handle the middle for us. Fill the B gap, if they run the weak side. And we're good. I got you, Bud. I got you, man. I got you. But Bud would change the defense every other series, man. So I don't know how teams could, figure out what we were doing because
Bud didn't know
I didn't know what we were doing. But it worked.
He coached here in St. Louis with the Rams. That was his final job. But one of the things about Bud Carson, he took over as an interim coach with the Jets. And very seldom do you see interim guys have any sort of reasonable success. He did. But I always remember Bud, and I'm sure you remember, Eric, how many colored pencils he would have. He had all these colored pencils, man, and every pencil, every color signified something different. And if you weren't in squad meetings early in the year, and he would talk to me about walking me through what he was trying to do, and man, my head would be on fire. My head was going to explode. And I was saying to myself, it's a good thing they pay guys to listen to him, because if I was doing it for free, man, and I walked out there wanting to take up archery, I never want to see another football in my life after being around him. But what a wonderful man, though.
Yeah, I love Bud, man. I always love Bud. And, Bud was very hard on rookies. And, ironically, he started 3 of us at one time, and all three of us were in the secondary. He started 3 rookies, my rookie year. And, man, he was hard on us, but, we came through for him. And we made the necessary plays to, keep our jobs.
And you had a cast of characters, some tremendous players as teammates on the defensive side. Yeah, of course, Mark Gastineau and Marty Lyons, Joe Klecko, Claiborne, and on offense, of course, Ken O'Brien was backed up by Pat O'Brien. You had Freeman McNeil. You had Al Toon. Just some tremendous players on that team. The talent.
Yeah.
Was just it was laden with guys that could really play ball. I'm just kind of surprised they didn't have more success, in that division, which was a tough division. Also,
it was a tough division. During that time, Buffalo was coming on strong. They had just picked up Thurman Thomas as the running back, and they acquired James Lofton as well. And they had Andre Reed, and then you had Cornelius Bennett as a linebacker, defensive end. What's my guy's name? Defensive end.
Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith, yeah, Bruce. Uncle Bruce out there. Shane Conlon at the linebacker. I mean, they had a talented squad, man. And those guys were really tough. James. Talk about James Lofton for a brief second. When my dad was coaching with the Packers. Okay, James Lofton was with the Packers. John Jefferson, James Lofton, Lynn Dickey. I used to, go visit my dad up there, and I'm 15 years old. I'm in 10th grade. I'm coming to visit. I'm walking around the locker room. I'm sitting at the locker talking to James. We're like becoming best friends, so to speak. And James gave me his jersey. I told him my high school colors were green and gold. So he gave me his jersey. He said, "Hey, man, you can have it, man. Take it, man. Wear it." I also left there with some green and white cleats. I had some Nikes and I had some green and white Adidas. So when I came back to high school, I had all this sporty gear to wear, So fast forward to me being in the league, just decided to move me to corner. So now I got to cover this dude. Now let's not forget, he's got almost 10, 12 years on me in the league. Let's not forget he's a world-class sprinter. Let's not forget I'm a Pro Bowl safety. Playing corner is a different position. I'm trying to jam people and I'm missing people. Now I'm chasing people, having to, save the touchdown at the last second kind of thing. And, James won't let me forget it. And he called my dad recently and told Dad, he said, "Hey, man, I got Erik on Monday Night Football, man," because I was covering him. I missed the jam. He grabbed my elbow, pulled me forward. He ran by me. And at the last second, I missed tipping that ball at the last second, man. And he caught it for a touchdown. I was like, I'll be darned, man. This dude got me, man. And he won't let me live it down either.
What was it like when you broke the huddle and you looked up and he saw you and you saw him for the first time in that competition?
I didn't say a word to him, man. I was like, I knew what time it was. I got to show up. I got to show up. And his craftiness, his experience, he won the battle that day. He won the battle that day.
Hey, who's the best receiver you ever faced? And the reason why I bring it up, you mentioned Al Toon, and who knows how good he would have been had he not dealt with the concussion so early in his career. But who was some of the best you've ever faced?
Al Toon was a deep threat. That's in practice. Okay. I also practiced against Wesley Walker. Okay. Ooh. Wesley Walker was I had to learn how to play corner practicing against him in practice every day. So, that was very challenging for me. And then Stanley Morgan with the New England Patriots. Now, Stanley got on my nerves because it could be 80,000 people in the stadium. Stanley, we run a double coverage on this cat. I'm talking to Hasty. I'm giving Hasty signals because it's so loud. I can't hear myself talk. So I'm giving him signals. I will have you know, Stanley Morgan picked up my signals and he knew exactly the coverage we were running on him. And it's a double coverage. I'm on the inside. Hasty got him. If he comes upfield and goes outside, Hasty would pick him up and I would try to undercut. If he came inside, Hasty would try to undercut and I would cover him and keep him, from going further inside. This cat would come upfield and hook up right in between both of us. So we both stand there like, I thought you had him. I thought you had him. Meanwhile, he's getting the first down for like 3 or 4 plays. I was like, man, this dude, he gonna cost me my job. Yeah, so Stanley Morgan, I give him that award. And I saw Stanley at the I think it was 3 years ago at the Super Bowl, and I told Stanley that story, and Stanley was just laughing because he knew it was true.
Stand by, everybody. We've got more with Erik McMillan.
The 2021 Acura TLX is the top-selling luxury sedan in St. Louis, and St. Louis Acura has an unbeatable selection. The TLX has the highest safety rating, and right now you can get $2,500 in loyalty conquest offers with 0% financing for up to 36 months. We offer free pickup and delivery, and we'll also buy your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. St. Louis Acura, committed to becoming better than ever for you.
We continue with Huddle Up with Howard. Erik McMillan is our guest. He's given us some of those great war stories of his days in the NFL. And Erik, you mentioned some good receivers. What was the crowning moment for you when you first stepped on the field in the NFL? What was some of the things that you still carry to this day that just make you proud that you had that opportunity?
Well, as an older man, I can say this, but when I was 22 years old coming out of college, I felt as though I had earned the right to be there. So I wasn't afraid of anybody who was quote unquote supposed to be, the all pro or the star or anything like that. My attitude was such that I belong here. I'm supposed to be here. And the crowning moment was me just getting on the field, to be honest with you. Um, I never thought that I would be a starter my rookie year because, they had Lester Lyles out there, Jerry Holmes, those guys were the starters. I didn't become a starter until probably the last preseason game. My buddy Hasty, who was also drafted the same year I was, who was a corner, they made him a starter the second after the second preseason game. He was in the lineup, and then they had a second round pick, Terry Williams, who was getting a lot of clock, who was a rookie playing the other corner. So I didn't had no idea I would be a starter the first year. So right before that third preseason game, I started looking around when we're always stretching, and I'm like, where's everybody at? We got gaps in the line, in our lines, where we line up. And I talked to Mike Faulkner. He was my DB coach. I said, Mike, where's 43? Where's 44? He pointed towards the sky. I said, what's that mean? He said, they're on next flight out, man. So I looked around. He said, ain't nobody left, big boy. You gonna be the starter. I was like, oh, okay. Let's get to it. So I really can't, pinpoint one or two plays to say, that was my crowning moment. The crowning moment was just actually being there and being on the field and being in that huddle, looking at these guys who were 10 times bigger than me, Gastineau and Marty Lyons and, Reggie McElroy on the offensive side. I mean, these are massive people, man. And, I'm out there running around doing what I can do, trying to hang with all these giants. And being successful with it too, that was fun.
You were. So you moved on. You're a guy that you're highly intelligent. You maximized your opportunities in college. Went on to earn a master's degree at Fordham University. Now you've translated all the things that you learned as a player in college and in the NFL, and you're doing something very special in the high school ranks. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, well, since I can't play anymore, I decided I need to give my gifts to people who are willing to use them. And I started coaching high school football, actually at Cardinal Ritter High School in St. Louis, Missouri, back in 2010. Um, I originally got bit by the coaching bug from my uncle, Marvin Neals, in basketball. Uncle Marvin gave me a job being an assistant coach with him at Cardinal Ritter in 2010. Working with Cameron Bishad, during that era. And we posted an excellent record, but we had so much success, and I was coaching kids that really wanted to use these talents. I didn't mess with the offense at all, the offensive side. I was preaching all defense. I was preaching all, help side defense, aggressive, throw a little football stuff in there. Let's get some contact on this dude, let's keep him out the paint. If he ain't in the paint, he's a non-entity kind of thing, So I think I hope, I brought some defensive toughness, to what we were doing there. Then I left St. Louis, came back to Atlanta, 2011, got with another high school, and the guy was able and willing to give me the defensive backs coaching job. And I said, can we play man to man? He said, yeah. I said, well, cool. So I just implemented everything that Pete Carroll taught me about playing man to the corners. And I just went off the top of my head, and all the knowledge and vision that I have experience in, gave that to the safeties. And I've been doing that ever since. In 11 years of coaching high school football, I got 32 DBs in college. And I'm very proud of that. I got one of them that's in the pros right now. He was a first round draft pick to the Green Bay Packers last April. Eric Stokes. He's an EMAC disciple. I got some guys. I got one guy that just graduated from James Madison University. He actually played corner for me, but James Madison took him as a wide receiver, and he was an all-conference receiver there. Duke University, Devon Edwards, he was a four-year All-American, academic All-American, and an athletic All-American. Blew out his knee his senior year right before the draft, and in the last regular season game, and he wasn't able to go to the combine or rehab well enough to make it to the pros. But he's still working with the Duke University athletic program, and got married, got a kid. I'm very proud of him. So to work with high school athletes and see them learn from the game and maybe learn a little bit from me, take a little piece of me with them in terms of the survival, the motivated, the discipline kind of nature, to see them live their life, was a very gratifying experience. And I love doing it, as long as I got people that want to listen.
Good point. Hey, Erik, we are out of time, man. This has been a blast to catch up with you and seeing that you're doing well in your other careers, but just going down memory lane because you played in a great era of football, not only in college, but certainly in the NFL. And for you to share some of your thoughts with us today, we greatly appreciate.
Well, thank you. I just want to say one more thing. I don't know where this interview will be seen or whatever, but for anybody that's watching, I am looking for a college job as a coach. If I get 11 years of coaching high school, 32 DBs in college football, I got to know something.
Well, I know there's a school down the road in Columbia, Missouri, that's having a tough time stopping people on defense.
Hey, I'll be happy to come to old Mizzou if they give me an opportunity.
They can use a little help right now.
We'll make sure that he sees this too.
There you go. Hey, Erik, again, thanks so much. We want to thank our viewers and listeners for checking us out. Another edition of Huddle Up with Howard has taken place, and we thank everybody for listening. But before we go,
the only thing faster than this supersonic golf cart are the closing times at thehomeloanexpert.com. Mortgage rates on the twos, and we have a 21-day closing guarantee. Apply online today at thehomeloanexpert.com.